I thought she was the most spiritual woman I'd ever met. Every morning at sunrise, she'd sit cross-legged on my terrace, eyes closed, hands folded, whispering what I believed were prayers. Turns out, she was reading chat messages from thousands of strangers who were watching my every move through her phone. When you're lonely enough, you'll mistake performance for devotion every single time. If our stories resonate with you, don't forget to like, comment, and tell us where you're watching from. This story was shared with us by Colin, a long-time subscriber who wanted other expats to hear his warning. I watch Ratana through the sliding glass door of my Phuket villa, her silhouette perfect against the orange sunrise. She's been doing this every morning for 3 months now, sitting cross-legged on my marble terrace, phone balanced on her lap, eyes closed in what I believed was meditation. Her lips move silently, and I assume she's chanting or praying. It's one of the things that drew me to her when we met at that beachside bar in Qatar. Most of the girls I'd met since moving here from Brisbane seemed only interested in shopping or partying, but Ratana talked about spirituality, about finding inner peace. At 59, after a messy divorce and losing half my retirement savings, I thought I'd found someone who understood what really mattered. The morning sun catches the gold Buddha pendant around her neck, and I feel that familiar warmth in my chest. This is why I left Australia, for moments like this, for a woman who sees beyond material things. I make her usual green tea and step outside, but she doesn't open her eyes. Her phone screen glows faintly, and I assume it's a meditation app. "Good morning, beautiful," I whisper, setting the cup beside her. She raises one finger, her signal that she needs a few more minutes of spiritual time. I retreat back inside, feeling that same sense of respect and admiration that's been growing stronger each day. She takes her practice seriously, never rushing, never breaking character. Character, I think to myself, and immediately feel guilty for the word choice. This isn't an act. This is who she is, someone committed to growth and inner peace. I watch her from the kitchen window as I prepare my own coffee, marveling at her dedication. The way she holds herself, the gentle rise and fall of her shoulders as she breathes, the peaceful expression on her face, everything about her morning ritual speaks to a depth I'd never found in any woman back home. Sandra had been practical, focused on careers and mortgages and 5-year plans. She never would have understood this kind of spiritual commitment. "You finished?" I hear Ratana call softly from the terrace. I grab my coffee and join her as she's stretching, phone now, tucked away in the pocket of her flowing pants. "How was your meditation today?" I ask, settling into the chair beside her. "Very peaceful," she says, that serene smile spreading across her face. "The morning energy here is so pure, Colin. I feel very connected to universe." Her English still carries that careful cadence that I find endearing, each word chosen thoughtfully. "I love watching you," I admit, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "You're so committed to your practice, it inspires me." She leans over and kisses my cheek, her lips warm and soft. "Maybe one day you join me," she says, "but not yet. You still have too much Western stress energy. Need time to release first." I nod, accepting her wisdom. She's right. I'm still carrying baggage from my old life, still learning how to just be present in the moment. 3 months earlier, I was sitting alone at the same beachside bar where tourists and expats gathered to watch the sunset. I'd been in Phuket for 6 weeks, still adjusting to retirement, still nursing the wounds from Sandra taking our house in the settlement. The beer was cold, the view was perfect, but I felt hollow inside. That's when Ratana appeared beside me, ordering a simple water with lime. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world," she said in careful English. She was beautiful in a natural way, minimal makeup, simple dress, that Buddha pendant catching the light. We talked for hours. She told me about growing up in Isan, about studying philosophy at university in Bangkok, about how she'd come to Phuket seeking spiritual clarity after her own heartbreak. When she mentioned meditation and Buddhism, something clicked. Here was a woman with depth, someone who understood that happiness came from within. "Most people come to Thailand for wrong reasons," she said, sipping her water slowly. "They think they can buy happiness, buy love, But real peace comes from inside. Her words resonated deep in my chest. I'd been one of those people, I realized, running from my problems instead of facing them. You seem different, though, she continued, studying my face with those dark, intelligent eyes. You look like someone ready to learn. By our third date, she was spending nights at my villa. She never asked for money, never hinted at expensive gifts. Instead, she'd wake early to meditate, cook simple Thai meals, and talk about finding balance in life. Western people think too much, she'd say, touching my chest gently. Here in Thailand, we learn to just be. When she started her morning ritual on my terrace, I felt like I'd finally found what I'd been searching for. This place has good energy, she told me that first morning, standing on the terrace with her arms outstretched. Can you feel it? The way the sun rises over the water, the way the air moves. Very powerful for meditation. I couldn't feel what she described, but I wanted to. I wanted to see the world through her eyes, to find the peace she seemed to carry effortlessly. I would like to do my practice here each morning, she said, looking at me hopefully. If that's okay with you? Of course it was okay. I was honored that she'd want to share something so personal with me in my space. Maybe you can make me tea sometimes, she added with a shy smile. Green tea helps with meditation energy. It became our routine. Every morning, I'd watch her prepare for her spiritual time, feeling grateful to witness something so pure and authentic. Ratana moved in without us ever discussing it officially. One day she simply had more clothes in my wardrobe than belongings at her small apartment. I didn't mind. I loved having her there. She'd transformed my sterile rental villa into something that felt like home. Fresh flowers appeared daily. The scent of jasmine and lemongrass filled the air, and her presence made everything feel more alive. Her morning meditation became sacred time. She'd explained that it was important for her spiritual practice, that she needed complete silence and focus to connect with the universe. In Buddhism, we believe morning energy is most pure, she'd told me, stroking my arm as we lay in bed. It's when I can hear my inner voice clearly. I respected that completely. Sometimes I'd watch from inside, making her tea, feeling grateful to be with someone who took her spiritual life so seriously. She never asked me to join her, said that my path was different, that I needed to find my own way to enlightenment. Everyone's journey is unique, she explained one evening as we shared dinner on the terrace. Forcing someone into your practice is like forcing flower to bloom before it's ready. You will find your way when time is right. Her phone was always with her during these sessions, but she'd explained it contained guided meditations and Buddhist chants. Sometimes I need teacher's voice to guide me deeper, she said when I asked about it once. Phone is just tool, like meditation cushion or incense. The fact that she was so disciplined, so committed to growth, made me feel like I was becoming a better man just by being near her. My friends back in Brisbane would have called me crazy, moving in with a woman I'd known for 3 months, but they didn't understand what I'd found here. You look different, my mate Steve had said during our weekly video call. Relaxed, happy. He was right. For the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. Must be the tropical air, I joked, but it wasn't the location, it was her. She sounds too good to be true, mate, Steve had warned. Just be careful. But he didn't know Ratana. He hadn't seen her gentle morning rituals, her quiet wisdom, the way she moved through the world with such grace and purpose. Not everyone is out to get something, Steve, I told him. Some people are just genuinely good. The conversation had left me feeling defensive, protective of what we'd built together. Western cynicism, I thought. Exactly the kind of toxic thinking I'd come to Thailand to escape. Looking back, the signs were there from the beginning. The phone never left her hand, even when we made love. She'd prop it on the nightstand, screen facing up, always within reach. When I asked about it once, she laughed it off. Thai people are addicted to phones, same as everyone, she said, kissing my forehead. But mine is for meditation apps and family messages. I noticed she had expensive taste, despite claiming to live simply. The clothes she wore looked designer. Her skincare routine involved products that cost more than my weekly grocery bill, and her nails were always perfectly manicured. When I mentioned it, she explained that her family occasionally sent money. that her father owned land in Isan. "He worry about his daughter living with Farang," she said with a sheepish smile. "Send money to make sure I take care of myself properly." It made sense. I also started noticing how she'd position herself during her morning meditation, never with her back to the villa, always angled so the house was visible behind her. I thought it was about energy flow or feng shui. She often talked about the importance of positioning and direction in spiritual practice. "Everything about location matters for meditation," she'd explained when I commented on her consistent positioning. "Face wrong direction, energy flows wrong way." Her English was better than she'd initially let on, too. Sometimes I'd catch her speaking in perfect sentences, using words I didn't expect her to know, but when I complimented her improvement, she'd blush and say she was learning from watching TV with me. "Your English is really coming along," I'd say, impressed by her progress. "Thank you," she'd reply, suddenly reverting to simpler phrasing. "You good teacher. TV shows help too." There were phone calls in rapid Thai that would end abruptly when I entered the room. "My sister," she'd always explain. "Family drama, very boring." I respected her privacy, understood that family issues could be complicated, but part of me wondered why she never wanted to share those parts of her life with me. "Everything okay with your family?" I'd ask sometimes. "Yes, yes," she'd wave dismissively. "Just same problems always. Sister's husband drinks too much. Mother worry about money. Normal Thai family stress." I accepted her explanations because I wanted to believe them, because they fit the narrative I'd constructed about our relationship. She was protecting me from the mundane worries of daily life, keeping our space sacred and peaceful. The truth came crashing down on a Tuesday morning in November. Ratana was in her usual position on the terrace, phone balanced on her crossed legs, lips moving silently. I was making breakfast in the kitchen when my neighbor Jim knocked on the door. He looked uncomfortable, kept glancing toward the terrace, where Ratana sat. "Mate, I need to show you something," he said, holding up his tablet. "My daughter was scrolling through some app last night and—" He turned the screen toward me. It was a live stream, and there was my villa, my terrace, my girlfriend sitting in meditation pose, but she wasn't meditating. The chat was scrolling, rapidly with messages in Thai, English, and other languages I couldn't identify. Hundreds of viewers, maybe thousands. The title read, "Morning with Australian Boyfriend, Villa Tour." My stomach dropped. "She's been broadcasting for months," Jim said quietly. "My daughter recognized your place. The viewers, they're asking about your schedule, your routines, what you own." I stared at the screen, watching messages flood in. "Where does the old man keep his money? Show us inside the house. Is he awake yet?" Ratana's lips weren't moving in prayer. She was reading the chat, responding to questions about me, about our life together. I felt sick. "There's more," Jim continued, scrolling through the app. "Look at these comments from previous streams." The messages were even worse. Detailed discussions about my habits, my vulnerabilities, my financial situation. Strangers analyzing my behavior like I was a character in a reality show. "She's been answering questions about you for weeks," Jimmy said. "What you eat when you sleep, how much money you probably have." My hands were shaking as I took the tablet from him. There were hundreds of archived streams, each one titled with some variation of Australian Boyfriend Morning Routine, or Farang Villa Tour, or Spiritual Girlfriend Life. The view counts were staggering. Some videos had been watched by tens of thousands of people. Jim squeezed my shoulder. "I'm sorry, mate. Thought you should know." I closed the door and walked slowly toward the terrace, the tablet still in my hands, watching my girlfriend perform spirituality while strangers discussed my vulnerabilities in real time. Every morning for 3 months, while I'd been making her tea and feeling blessed to witness her spiritual practice, she'd been broadcasting my private life to an audience that saw me as entertainment. I stood in the doorway watching her perform what I now knew was an elaborate show. The morning light cast a golden glow around her, making her look angelic, the same image thousands of strangers were seeing live. My hands shook as I held Jim's tablet, the chat messages still streaming past. "Show us the kitchen. Make him bring you tea again. Ask about his bank account." The requests were casual, familiar. like these viewers had been part of our routine for months, because they had been. I cleared my throat. She held up her finger without opening her eyes, the same gesture that had made me feel respected and loved for months, now revealed as a way to buy time to read more messages. "Ratana," I said louder. Her eyes snapped open, and for a split second I saw panic flash across her face before she composed herself into that serene smile I'd fallen in love with. "Good morning, my darling," she said, but her thumb was moving across her phone screen, probably trying to end the stream. "What are you really doing out here?" I asked, stepping onto the terrace. The marble felt cold under my bare feet. She looked confused, tilted her head in that innocent way that had disarmed me so many times before. "Meditation, same as always. Why, you ask?" But I could see her phone screen now. The live stream was still active, comments still flowing. My villa, my private sanctuary, was displayed like a museum exhibit. Random strangers were commenting on my coffee mug, my choice of breakfast, the way I'd styled my hair. "Cut the act," I said, my voice harder than I'd ever used with her. "I know what this is." Her face changed completely. The spiritual serenity melted away, replaced by something calculating and cold. She stood up slowly, phone still in her hand, still broadcasting our confrontation. "You know what?" she asked, but there was no more innocent confusion. Her English was suddenly perfect, accent nearly gone. The transformation was jarring, like watching someone remove a carefully constructed mask. For a moment, we just stared at each other while her phone continued broadcasting our confrontation to hundreds of strangers. The woman I thought I'd fallen in love with had never existed at all. "How long have you been streaming this?" I asked, gesturing toward the phone. She glanced at the screen, reading the rapid-fire comments from viewers who were probably thrilled to witness this real-time drama. "Long enough," she said with a shrug. "Viewers love authentic content." The casual way she said it, like my humiliation was just another content category, made me feel physically ill. I realized I didn't know her at all. "How long?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to hear the answer. Ratana looked at her phone screen, then back at me. Her whole demeanor had shifted, spine straighter, expression sharper. The gentle, spiritual woman was gone, replaced by someone I'd never seen before. "Since the second week," she said matter-of-factly. "You were so trusting, so eager to believe in spiritual girlfriend fantasy." The words hit like physical blows. 2.5 months of my life reduced to a fantasy she'd sold to strangers. "The meditation, the Buddhism, all of it," I asked, desperate for some piece of our relationship to be real. "Performance," she said, shrugging. "Western men love Thai woman who seems pure, spiritual, easy to sell." She was still live streaming, I realized. Her audience was watching this entire confrontation unfold, probably commenting on my shocked expression, my obvious heartbreak. I grabbed for her phone, but she stepped back quickly. "Careful, Colin, viewers don't like aggressive farang." The way she said my name, cold, clinical, made my skin crawl. This woman who'd whispered sweet words in my ear, who'd made me believe I'd found love again, had been studying me like a specimen. "What did you tell them about me?" My voice cracked. She glanced at her phone screen, reading the rapid-fire comments. "Everything. Your schedule, your habits, how much money you probably have, where you keep things. They find it very entertaining. Lonely Australian man thinks he finds true love." The chat was going crazy, I could see. Messages flying past faster than I could read them. But I caught glimpses. "He's so shocked, LLL, and this is better than soap opera, and poor old man." I felt dizzy. The beautiful morning, the sunrise that had seemed so peaceful minutes ago, now felt like a spotlight exposing my humiliation to strangers around the world. "Turn it off," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Now." She smiled, and it was nothing, like the gentle expressions I'd memorized over the past months. This smile was sharp, predatory. "Why? This is best content I ever make. Viewers love authentic moments." She held up her phone so I could see the viewer count climbing in real time. Over 2,000 people were watching my world collapse, and the number kept rising. "Please," I said, hating how desperate I sounded. "Turn it off." "You should read these comments," she said, scrolling through the chat. "Very entertaining. Some people feel sorry for you, but most think it's funny. Stupid. Farang man who believes beautiful Thai girl could love him for real." "It started as regular live stream," Ratana explained, finally ending the broadcast but keeping her phone ready. "Thai girl in Phuket, nothing special. But then I met you, and viewers became very interested in Farang lifestyle." She gestured around. My villa, the infinity pool, the marble surfaces, the expensive furniture I'd rented sight unseen from Brisbane. "They want to see how Western men live. What makes them so foolish?" I sat down heavily in one of the teak chairs, feeling ancient. The weight of the revelation was crushing. Every intimate moment had been content. Every vulnerability a source of entertainment. "The morning meditation," I started to say, "was perfect cover," she interrupted. "I could stream for hours, show your house, your routine, read comments, all while you thought I was being holy woman." She laughed, and it was a sound I'd never heard before, sharp, businesslike. "My followers loved it. The spiritual girlfriend show, they called it. Some paid extra to send specific requests. Ask about your ex-wife, wear certain clothes, get you to do things on camera without knowing." The violation felt complete. Every intimate moment, every vulnerable confession about my divorce, my loneliness, my hopes for this new life, all of it had been content for her audience. I thought about all those evenings when I'd opened up to her about Sandra, about losing the house, about feeling like a failure at 59. She'd held me, stroked my hair, whispered comfort. "You monetize my pain," I said, the reality sinking in. "The money," I said weakly, remembering her explanations about family support. "You said your family helped." "Viewers helped," she corrected. "Donations, private messages, men who wanted to know how to find their own spiritual Thai girlfriend. I made more in 3 months streaming your life than most girls make in bars all year." She was checking her phone again, probably reading messages from her audience about our confrontation. The business aspect of it was staggering. She'd turned my genuine emotions into a profit center. "You're sick," I said, but she just shrugged. "I'm practical. You came to Thailand looking for fantasy. I gave you fantasy and made money from it. Win-win." She paused, studying my expression. "Except you weren't supposed to find out." The casual admission hung between us like a slap. She'd planned to keep this going indefinitely, keeping me in the dark while strangers watched my every move. "How much?" I asked. "How much did you make from my life?" Her smile widened. "Enough to buy my own condo in Bangkok. Enough to never need another Farang boyfriend again." "There's more, isn't there?" I asked, though I dreaded the answer. Something about her confidence, the way she wasn't even trying to deny or minimize. What she'd done suggested this went deeper than simple live streaming. Ratana's smile widened. "You are smarter than my viewers think." She showed me her phone screen, a private chat group with dozens of participants. The group name was in Thai, but I could see profile pictures of middle-aged Western men. "VIP followers," she explained casually. "They pay premium to get inside information about you." I saw messages that made my blood run cold. Details about my banking habits, photos of my credit cards taken while I slept, screenshots of documents from my desk, my passport number, visa, details, rental agreements, everything someone would need to steal my identity or worse. "You've been photographing my personal documents." My voice came out as a whisper. I felt violated in a way I hadn't known was possible. "Not just me," she said casually, scrolling through the photos. "Sometimes you sleep very deep after wine. Easy to go through your things, take pictures, upload to private channels." The systematic nature of it was terrifying. While I'd been falling in love with her spiritual act, she'd been systematically cataloging my entire life for profit. Bank statements, tax returns, insurance papers, everything was there, photographed and shared with strangers who'd paid for access. "The viewers especially loved your divorce papers," she continued, showing me screenshots of comments. "Very sad story about Australian man who lost everything to ex-wife. They felt sorry for you, sent bigger donations. Even my pain had been monetized, packaged and sold to people who saw my heartbreak as entertainment. I thought about all those nights I'd opened up to her about Sandra, about losing my house, about feeling like a failure. She'd held me while I cried, stroked my hair, whispered comfort, all while planning how to package my heartbreak for her audience. "The Buddha pendant," I said suddenly, remembering how it had initially attracted me to her, how it had seemed like a sign of her spiritual depth. She touched it and laughed. "Cheap gold paint from Patong Beach Market. Cost me 50 baht. But Western men see Buddhist jewelry and think, good Thai girl, very predictable." Everything had been calculated, from her simple clothing to her meditation routine to her carefully practiced broken English. The woman I'd fallen in love with was a complete fabrication, designed specifically to appeal to my vulnerabilities. "You think I work alone?" Ratana asked when she saw my shocked expression. She scrolled through her phone, showing me profiles of other women, dozens of them. "There are many of us. We share information, best practices, different types of farang." Men. She showed me a group chat with what looked like 100 profiles, young Thai women, some Filipinas, a few Vietnamese, messages in multiple languages discussing their subjects. I saw photos of other Western men, some I recognized from expat hangouts around Phuket. "That's Jerry from the American Legion," I said, pointing at a photo of my drinking buddy. He was sleeping in the picture, mouth open, looking vulnerable and old. "Yes, very generous man," Ratana nodded. "My friend Niran streams his life too. He thinks she's student saving money for university." The scope of it was staggering. A network of women targeting lonely Western men, turning their vulnerabilities into entertainment and profit. "We have training," she explained matter-of-factly, showing me what looked like a manual, screenshots and guides on manipulating foreign men, written in Thai with English translations. What stories work best? Which personality types bring most viewers? How to keep men believing fantasy while extracting maximum content? The manual was comprehensive. Psychological profiles, conversation starters, ways to identify wealthy targets. "Spiritual girlfriend very popular right now," she said, scrolling through different categories. Before that was innocent student. Before that was sick mother in hospital. Whatever Farang men want to believe, we provide. I felt like an idiot, but worse than that, I felt like prey. Like I'd been selected and hunted by predators who understood my psychology better than I understood it myself. "How many of you are there?" I asked, my voice barely functional. "In Thailand, maybe 100 doing this seriously, but growing fast because method works well." She seemed proud of it, like she was discussing a successful business venture rather than systematic emotional fraud. "My earnings put me in top 10% this year," she added. "Your life was particularly good content. Divorced, lonely, desperate. For love. Perfect target." The clinical way she analyzed me, like I was a case study rather than a human being, was almost worse than the betrayal itself. "We have ranking system," she continued, "based on viewer engagement, donations, how long, we can keep the fantasy going. I got promoted to senior level because of you." "So what happens now?" I asked, though I was afraid of the answer. I felt completely powerless, like a character in someone else's story, with no control over the plot. Ratana looked at her phone, then back at me. "Depends what you want," she said, her tone shifting to something that sounded almost like negotiation. "I can pack my things, find new target, and you never see me again. Or," she paused and I saw calculation in her eyes, "or we continue arrangement, but now you know truth." The audacity took my breath away. "Continue?" I asked, certain I'd misheard. "Why not?" she said, sitting down across from me like this was a business meeting. "You get beautiful Thai girlfriend, I get content and money. Nothing really changes except you stop believing fairy tale." She made it sound reasonable, like a mutually beneficial business arrangement. "You were happy for 3 months thinking it was real love. If happiness is what matters, does truth change anything?" But of course it changed everything, every kiss, every intimate moment, every time she'd made me feel desired and understood. All of it was contaminated now. How could I continue a relationship knowing it was performance art for strangers? "I could report you," I said weakly, grasping for some kind of power in the situation. "To who?" She laughed, genuinely amused. Thai police for what crime? Having boyfriend and social media account? No law against live streaming your own life? She was right, and the realization was crushing. What she'd done was morally despicable, but probably not illegal. I had no recourse except to endure the humiliation of knowing thousands of strangers had watched my pathetic attempts at finding love. Besides, she added, leaning forward, would you want your story spread wider? Right now, my viewers just see lonely Farangman. But if you make trouble, story becomes much bigger. Maybe Australian news want to interview stupid old man who got scammed by Thai girlfriend. The threat was clear and terrifying. She held all the power because she controlled. The narrative had footage of our most intimate moments, knew all my personal information. I could stay and live with the lie, or leave and risk even greater public humiliation. I need time to think, I said, feeling defeated. She shrugged and stood up. Take time you need. But remember, I have 3 months of very personal footage. Would be shame if private moments became public because you decide to be difficult. With that final threat hanging in the air, she walked back into the villa, leaving me alone on the terrace that had been the stage for her performance. I gave her 24 hours to pack and leave. The decision came to me that night as I lay in bed, listening to her breathing beside me, knowing she was probably planning her next stream, her next target. I couldn't live as a knowing participant in my own humiliation. She took the eviction calmly, no tears, no apologies, just efficient packing like she was checking out of a hotel. You sure about this? She asked, while folding her designer clothes. Clothes I now realized were bought with money earned from broadcasting my humiliation. It will be harder to find another spiritual girlfriend now that you know how business works. Even in leaving, she couldn't resist twisting the knife. I watched her pack the Buddha pendant, wondering if she'd use it again with her next target, or if the spiritual girlfriend act was retired in favor of some new deception. Did you ever feel anything real? I asked as she zipped her suitcase. The question had been eating at me. Was any of it genuine, or had I been completely delusional? She paused for a moment, and I thought I saw something human flicker across her face. Maybe first week, she said quietly. You seem different from other Farang men, more gentle, more genuine. But then viewers started paying good money and... She shrugged. Business is business. It was the closest thing to remorse I'd get from her, and somehow that tiny admission of early authenticity made everything worse. She'd felt something real and chosen to destroy it for profit. She wheeled her suitcase to the door, then turned back. Colin, she said, and for a moment her voice carried some of the tenderness I'd fallen in love with. Try not to hate Thailand, because of me. Country is beautiful, people are good. I'm just very good businesswoman who found profitable niche. Then she was gone, and I was alone in my villa with the knowledge that our entire relationship had been a performance, streamed, lived to strangers who found my loneliness entertaining. I sat on the terrace where she'd performed her fake meditation every morning, looking out at the same sunrise that had seemed so peaceful when I believed in her spiritual act. The marble felt cold beneath me, and I wondered how long it would take to stop feeling like a fool. How do you rebuild trust in your own judgment when you've been so thoroughly deceived? How do you know what's real when you've been living inside someone else's carefully crafted performance for months? The villa felt different without her, but not in the way I expected. Instead of empty, it felt clean, like a fever had finally broken. I spent the first week obsessively checking social media, searching for traces of our live-streamed life, but found nothing. Either she'd deleted everything or moved it to private channels I couldn't access. I changed all my passwords, moved my important documents to a safety deposit box in town, and started sleeping with my bedroom door locked. Jim checked on me regularly, bringing beer and careful conversation. You're not the first, mate, he told me one evening as we sat by my pool. There's a whole underground network of these streaming scams. Most guys never find out. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. If anything, it made me feel worse. How many other lonely men were unknowingly performing their private lives for strangers' entertainment right now? A few weeks later, I ran into Jerry at the American Legion bar. He looked terrible, drawn, suspicious, constantly checking his phone. You hear about what happened to that German guy, Hans? He asked, nursing his beer with shaking hands. Found out his girlfriend was filming him for months, streaming everything to pay-per-view audience. I wanted to tell him about my own experience, warn him to be careful, but something held me back. Maybe it was pride, or maybe I just couldn't bear to see recognition dawn in his eyes. Instead, I bought him a drink and listened to him complain about how you couldn't trust anyone anymore. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, keeping secrets just like Ratana had, protecting myself while others walked blindly into the same trap. I thought about her network, wondered how many spiritual girlfriends were sitting on terraces across Thailand right now, phones positioned perfectly to capture their targets' vulnerabilities. How many broken men were making tea for women who saw them as content rather than human beings? The paranoia was exhausting, but I couldn't shake it. Every interaction felt potentially false, every smile possibly calculated. 6 months later, I'm still in Phuket, still in the same villa. I considered moving, even looked at places in Chiang Mai and Bangkok, but running felt like letting her win. Instead, I've made peace with the knowledge that my private humiliation was once public entertainment. The morning terrace doesn't haunt me anymore. I even have coffee there sometimes, though I never sit in the spot where she performed her fake meditation. I've become more careful, maybe too careful. I date occasionally, but I find myself analyzing every woman's behavior for signs of deception. Does she position her phone too strategically? Is her English better than she pretends? Are her spiritual interests genuine or performance? The paranoia exhausts me sometimes, but it's better than being naive. I've connected with other expats who've been through similar experiences. Men who discovered their Thai girlfriends were cam girls, their Filipino partners were married, their Vietnamese lovers were part of organized scam operations. We don't talk about it much, but there's an understanding between us, a shared wariness that bonds us in uncomfortable ways. Thailand is still beautiful. The sunsets are still spectacular. The food is still incredible. And most of the people I meet are genuinely kind. But I'll never again mistake performance for authenticity. And I'll never again believe that someone can fall in love with me after just a few conversations over beer and sunset views. The hardest part isn't the betrayal. It's accepting that I was so desperate for connection that I ignored obvious red flags. Ratana didn't seduce me with elaborate lies. She gave me exactly the fantasy I wanted to believe, and I chose to believe it despite the inconsistencies. That's on me as much as her. I came to Thailand looking for something authentic and got lost in a perfectly crafted illusion. The spiritual girlfriend show was convincing because I wanted to be convinced, needed to believe that someone could see value in a broken-down Australian electrician with divorce scars and retirement fears. I still wonder sometimes if Ratana thinks about our 3 months together, if any part of it was real for her, or if I'm just another successful case study she shares with her network. I'll probably never know, and I'm learning to be okay with that uncertainty. What I do know is that I came to Thailand running from one kind of loneliness and almost fell into a worse trap because of it. The spiritual girlfriend act worked on me because I wanted to believe in transformation. In second, chances in the idea that geography could heal heartbreak. Those desires aren't wrong, but using them as the foundation for love is dangerous territory. These days, I volunteer at a local animal shelter, play poker with other retirees, take Thai language classes with genuine enthusiasm rather than romantic motivation. I'm building a life that doesn't depend on someone else's validation or performance, of devotion. It's quieter than the fantasy Ratana sold me, but it's real. And after months of living inside someone else's carefully crafted show, reality feels like a gift. The sunrise still comes every morning, just like it did when she sat on my terrace reading chat messages disguised as prayers. But now when I watch it, I'm not waiting for someone to validate the beauty or share the moment with me. I'm just a man in Thailand, watching the sun come up, grateful to see the world clearly for the first time in months. Sometimes that's enough. The terrace where she performed her spiritual charade has become my place of genuine reflection now. I sit there with my morning coffee, not posing for anyone, not performing anything, just existing in the moment. It's taken me nearly a year, but I'm learning what authentic peace feels like, Not the performed serenity she showed me, but the quiet satisfaction of knowing I'm living my own life instead of being a character in someone else's story. I've stopped looking over my shoulder, stopped analyzing every interaction for hidden cameras or ulterior motives. Trust is coming back slowly, like feeling returning to a limb that's been asleep too long. I may never again be the trusting romantic who believed in love at first conversation, but maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe wisdom and caution aren't the enemies of love. Maybe they're what make real love possible when it finally comes along.